Today's guest is Jennifer Whitbeck, a spiritual life guide. She guides women on a spiritual journey, seeking clarity and direction to quiet their busy minds and embrace their soul's guidance so they can awaken each day with a profound sense of connection and harmony within themselves and the life they are living. Join me in welcoming Jennifer Whitbeck. There you are.
Here I am.
There you are. Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. Um, I'm just so looking forward to our conversation
Me too.
and what we're going to be learning and discovering and all of those things. So,
All of those wonderful things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Unless you want to add something, I'm ready just to dive on in.
Well, then let's dive right in.
Okay. So, what I've been doing is doing a little research.
Okay.
We have some nice some topics that people are really wanting to know about.
Okay.
So, whether it's career, relationship, or personal growth plateau,
Mm-hmm.
women on their journey often feel spiritually blocked and want to clear that path. I know I've been there. I'm working through it right now. So on personal experience. So how can your work assist someone who feels lost, stuck, whatever words you want to use, and how can they move forward?
Well, one, we're always going to be in kind of that weird influx, so to speak, right? Because really, our whole point of being here is learning to master ourselves. It tends to come for a lot of us later in life. Um, I believe that's because the first part of our lives, the younger years, when we're kind of like, oh my God, thank God, like, especially right for us in our age groups, where it's like, thank God we did not have, Facebook when we were growing up because of the things I've done, right? And I think really what that is it's the soul having fun, right? Experiencing life. We all came down here to have certain experiences, good, bad, indifferent, right? Um,
Exactly.
and that is really when the soul's like, let's have at it. But also, too, our personality is like, boundaries? What boundaries, right? Where are my boundaries, right? We're experiencing everything.
Right.
And as we get older, or even when we're going through it, right? We've learned to kind of put labels on shit. We put labels on our stories, we put labels on our upbringing, right? And like I was even talking to somebody about this the other day, and she was really upset about, oh, if my mom just knew. And it's like, well, here's the thing, sweetie pie. Um, we all just know what we know in the moment.
Mhm.
But as children, we want to put the lens on of why didn't my mom know this when she was raising me? Well, probably because it's just now been discovered or realized in your 20s that, oh, hey, man, we probably shouldn't have done that. And we forget to look back at when our parents were growing up. They only had that knowledge, right?
We
So,
only have the knowledge we have in the moment, no matter who it is.
right. No matter who it is, right? My knowledge is based on, certain things. Like if I would have had children, I don't have children, but if I would have had children, right, it would have been based on how I grew up, the
Right.
knowledge I had growing up and what I learned before they showed up. And we kind of want to slap a label across our own upbringing going, well, they did it wrong. It's like, but they did the best they knew how. So, in answer to your question in a long-winded way, um, the way I work with people is kind of like removing our own labels, removing the judgment and perspectives that we have. Because in like how you're even saying that you're kind of going through it, we're always kind of always going through it because we've all heard the analogy of life, our lives are like onions, and when you start to peel it all back, and I used to think it's like, okay, well, how big is this freaking onion I have, right? And in reality, when we get to the core, that's when we are in full acknowledgement of our soul. Well, it took me 50 some odd years to get here, people. It's not going to take me a month to be like, okay, did it, cleaned it up, right? It's always going to be about pulling back a new layer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love the onion analogy. I have my own, and I'm sure I heard it from somebody else.
Yeah.
Maybe every now and again we have an original thought. Anyway, I use the artichoke
Oh,
because
okay.
the leaves on the artichoke on that outer layer are much more tough. They even got like little like
Yep.
daggers on there.
Yeah.
You don't grab the leaf just right. And the more you pull back, the more you get toward the center, the more soft and luscious it is and transparent. And but it's the same idea, and if where I've been right now, I've been here before. This is not a new feeling,
Yeah.
and it's like, gee, I wonder how many like leaves I'm gonna pull off this layer this time because yeah, it's a lifelong process, is
It
what I've
is.
accepted the fact of.
Yeah. Well, but you can even say too, since you know that you've kind of been there before, you navigate it differently every time you revisit it, right?
Exactly.
Because now you can probably meet yourself with a little bit more compassion than you did the first go around, right? Because I know that's true for me, right? It's like
Yes.
I used to always joke when it's like the lesson or pattern or whatever you want to call it was coming back around. I'm like, yep, I feel like that airplane's been circling the tower going, do I have permission to land? And I'm like, no, I'm not ready to deal with this yet.
Yeah. I haven't come up with a good analogy, but I like that, and I like yours, so I may borrow that.
Yeah, that's right. But it's true, right? It's like
Right.
sometimes we're willing to receive what the next layer of information that we're supposed to, it's either receiving to let go or receiving to see it from a new perspective or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
we have to be in that space where it's like, can I truly receive what it's trying to share with me? And to your point of the artichoke, right? It's like we even treat ourselves with that little prickly prickly ends, right? It's like, no, go away. Or sometimes, right, we sit there and we're all defensive about it. And it's like, I've received as much as I can. I am who I am. And it's like, ooh, just that tone alone is like, no, you're not.
Well, and it's almost for me, it's like, how long do I want to remain uncomfortable?
Mm,
Because when I'm in it, I, anxiety, some, stomach rumblings. At least that's what it is now. Other times it's been other things. But if, I am just willing to accept what's going on, oftentimes, you know, um, it can go away. What would you recommend for me right now? I'm in it. Is there anything other than just accepting it and feeling it and being willing to let go, so to speak?
well, there's all of those, but the other half, I think too is when we're in it, we again, I'm just going to go back to the labels, right? Because I do the same thing, is
Mhm.
we label it as why does this always have to be painful? Why does it always have to be hard?
Ooh.
Right? And we labeled it. We didn't give ourselves permission to say, okay, can I receive this in a gentle way? Right? Somewhere in you, in who you are, right? Because I know for who I am, I
Mhm.
must have laid down the law going, okay, universe, you're gonna have to like clunk me over the head. Make it difficult so I know I'm in it.
Right.
I always, because my whole analogy for myself was always like, I feel like I was thrown into the deep end of the pool and I got one water wing that has a slow leak, so I'm constantly flailing. And it's like, and then finally I realized I'm like, oh my God, I gave myself my own analogy. I
Mhm.
never told myself I could be in the deep end of the pool, but be on a nice flotation device where I'm just getting a suntan.
Mhm.
I always made it that I had to be flailing. So my suggestion to you is how have you set it up for yourself?
Right.
Right? Did you somewhere in time say it has to be hard? Because again, I've had conversations with different people where it's like they are whew, adamant that it will be hard. It is always hard. The universe is always, always testing me. And it's like, kitten, the universe is never testing you. Right? I even used to believe that, right? I used to believe that it was the universe testing me. And it's like, oh, it's me testing me.
Mhm.
I put up these obstacles. Everything I'm dealing with, I'm doing to myself. And when you have that realization, and I know a lot of people, and I used to be one of those people who used to stick my heels in going, I am not doing this to myself. And it's like, and now I realize, oh, yeah, it was me all along.
Of course.
And that's part of the acceptance, right?
Right.
Is accepting that, okay, I'm doing this to me. Can I be more compassionate with me? Is there something I'm missing?
Well, and could I start with, or someone like me start with, changing what I say myself?
Yeah,
Something like, I'm feeling pain. I want to move through this with ease and compassion for myself, or something like a little prayer or something to that
yeah.
effect.
Well, because I also believe too that the journey does begin in our mind,
Mhm.
right? So again, if I labeled my situations in the past of being in the deep end flailing, I now changed it. It's like I don't even have to be in the pool. I could just be in the lounger side of the pool, just getting a nice little tan and moving, feeling, truly feeling,
Mhm.
right? Because again, sometimes we act like we're feeling. It's like we touch it a little bit and freak out
Right.
and then run away.
Right.
And sometimes it's like, well, if I just gave myself that breath, and part of it is breathing, right? Because I know
Right.
for me, when I'm in it, my jaw is tight, my breathing is super shallow, or I'm holding it.
Me too.
And I realize when I catch myself doing it, it's like, okay, calm down, breathe, start with a breath. And it doesn't even have to be a big breath, right? We all think that it's like, right? That even that breath is like I've been drowning or something. Just allow yourself to breathe, settle in. Am I even in my body? 9 times out of 10, we're not even in our body. We fucking took
Right.
off.
Yeah. Right. Need to remember to be here
Yeah. Can I
now.
just be here now in this moment? Because that's the other thing too, is when we remind ourselves to be here now in this moment, right now in this moment, I'm talking to you. I am safe. My feet are firmly on the ground.
Right.
Nothing's coming for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
right? It's our upbringing or it's not even really our upbringing, it's the labels again that we put on stories that sometimes, and this was the old me, that it's like, well, I have to be here, but I can be on alert. And it's
True.
like, but that's not really being here if I'm on alert.
Right, because your focus is not here right now. It's out there somewhere, maybe even not even in this moment. You're
Right.
looking at what could happen in the future.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful.
So, and 9 times out of 10, again, it's our own thoughts that are projecting out there saying, okay, well, I got to prove myself right, right? Because the mind always wants to prove you right. It's like your genie.
Yeah.
So if I'm saying something bad's coming, it's going to be like, okay, well, let's align things. So then, because she asked for something
Right?
bad,
Let's make it bad. Oh,
let's
God.
make it bad. So
So
then when
you're
it comes,
telling your own future.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And
golly.
then, it's like you have some people that are like, oh, well, I've been asking for the lottery. I've been asking for the lottery. Nothing came. And it's like, but one, could you receive it if it showed?
True.
Two, why do I always think that when we ask for the positive, that it's going to be like a drive-through? Because in our minds, we think the negative shows up that quickly. In reality, we didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
We just aha those moments and say, I told you so. So then we think they showed up faster. So,
Well, that kind of leads me now to, I guess, trust in our inner wisdom and, making the decisions that feel in alignment with us or spiritually aligned, whatever, however you would like to say that. And rather than driven by fear, which is what we're talking about
yeah.
exactly, or other, or even it could be external pressure. Here, I believe we're more talking about internal fear of the what if.
Uh-huh.
How can someone connect more deeply with their intuition or their higher self? And I know we've been talking along those lines. Is there some another piece to it that you could elaborate on?
Well, I think the other piece to it is really learning to quiet the mind, right? And it's like, yeah, anybody listening to this, like, okay, everybody talks about that. It's true. Everybody does talk about it, but nobody tells you how to get around doing it, right? We all think that in order to quiet my mind, I'm going to go meditate. But then, like, even when I first started getting into meditation, the only thing that was happening is that my eyes were closed and my to-do list was scanning across my mind, right? Or when I was slightly open, because I still had that whole thing of, well, I can't trust myself with my eyes closed because something might come and get me, thinking that, I'm living back in the day when I had to worry about a bear or a tiger coming after you, right?
Right.
And in reality, what it, and this is really what I help women do, is I help them quiet their minds. And part of that is really taking a step back and looking at how do you naturally navigate through the world, right? How do you navigate? What are your thoughts? And when we really pay attention to how we are, that shows you why you're not trusting, right? Because like for me back in the day, I was your go-to girl for, it's like I could love anybody. I would give you whatever you needed, right? That's part of my deepest wounding. That's a whole other conversation. But when it came to doing for me, I wasn't comfortable, right? I wasn't comfortable having compassion for myself. I wasn't comfortable trusting myself. It was so much easier to give that to other people than it was to give to myself. And just realizing that is one insight, but then learning to give what naturally gave to others, giving it to myself.
So, and I love all of that. How would someone know if they don't trust themselves? I know that's a crazy question.
It is a quite crazy question.
And
Okay.
well, it might
Well,
be somebody's wounding or their
yeah,
background, that might be their story. Because I think that was a thing for me. That was a big lesson for me, is
yeah,
learning that.
yeah. For me, um, I knew that I didn't trust myself because I didn't do this with everything, but most of the time I would have to talk it out. Like if I was making a decision or if I had a choice or whatever, I would literally have to talk it out with a handful of different people to get everybody's input because I doubted if what I was saying for me was my truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is I was falling into that whole thing of, well, you know me better than I know me.
Which is so not the case.
Right. Because in reality, right, they only see the parts of me that I'm allowing them to see. Right. It's kind of like those marriages where somebody's like, they're like, oh my God, this couple, I thought they were like the best couple in the world and they just filed for divorce. What the hell? Right. It's because they only allowed you to see what you saw. So you saw them being sweet and romantic or
Right.
whatever. And the
True.
same is true with what I want to share with the world, right? So when I have girlfriends that have known me for, I have one girlfriend that's literally known me since second grade. But we have not always been attached at the hip during that whole span. So there's parts of life where there were, 3 years, 5 years, whatever, where we didn't connect. And like a great example is I literally connected with somebody a couple weeks ago who I have not spoken to in 15 years. And I made the comment of, I have grown and changed so much. His response was, I don't think you've grown at all.
Wow.
And I think what he meant by that was I seemed very similar to how I interacted in the past.
Yes.
And to me, it's like, okay, well, maybe that's true. Because again, he thought I showed all of me to him. I didn't. I know how I was 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I was very limited in how I presented myself. So maybe in that moment, he was thinking, well, you haven't really shifted that much. I know I have. I've shifted greatly in the past 3 years. And I'm shifting, yeah, and I'm shifting even faster now because when things come up, I'm receiving them differently. So in order to trust yourself more, first you have to see, well, do I doubt? Do I go to others? Do I automatically say, well, I don't know what I'm talking about? Right? What's the language you use on yourself? Because that language still plays on if you're trusting yourself or if you doubt yourself.
Well, I love that saying, and I might mess it up, but if we talk to our friends the way we talk to ourselves, we would have no friends,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's back to what we were talking about a short while ago about what you say to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both verbally and in your mind. Because some people say, oh no, I just think it. It's like, well, that's just as bad. Because again, you're still telling the brain
Oh,
what it's looking
yeah.
for.
completely. You're still hearing it. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it comes out of your mouth or not. Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know if you're familiar with the term the French Olympic judge.
No.
That's no, you're not.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm back in the day at the Olympics. You have the Olympic judge. They're the ones who would never give a 10
Okay.
because they are so hard and strict. And so, yeah, I am the French Olympic judge to myself. I'm much better now. I
Yeah.
give myself lots of 10s.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, um, so a lot of what I think we're talking about today is about, our shift in our consciousness
Hmm.
and or a spiritual awakening, whatever term you want to give that. And so let's first of all, what does a spiritual awakening really mean? And how does someone know if they're going through one?
I think it's different for everybody.
Okay.
Um, because, well, hold on. So just a spiritual journey. Let's start there,
Perfect.
right? Is a spiritual journey is just, and then I think that's also answering the question of when you're awakening, is because when you're awakening, you start to realize, I think there's a little bit more to this than what I've been doing. And how deep that flows for you is different for everybody, right? Because we're not all equal. We're all unique and special in a sense, right? But how we go about life, you do it one way and I'm going to do it a different way. Sometimes it's going to line up with other people, and so we think, "Oh, we're the same." And it's like, but we all have our own individual flair.
Mhm.
So, it's really waking up, realizing that I've been living in fear, right? And some people also ask, what are my shadows? Well, you're living your shadow, right? Because your shadows are all your fears. Your shadows are your worries and your doubts. And I have to be on alert. And can I trust them or do I trust me? And da 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 da. Right. And that's what I think is funny because I used to fall into the whole category of, can someone tell me my shadows? And then when I realized, oh my God, my shadows are my fears, worries, and doubts, anxieties, judgments, comparisons. Those are my shadows.
Mhm.
When you remove all your shadows, you're opening yourself to your truth, to the universal truth that we are all divine beings, that we are all made up of love, light, and vibration. Sometimes that's a very hard pill to swallow because I know when that was coming in for me, it was like, are you sure you mean me? Right. And part of that was the whole doubting thing, right? Because if I'm willing to accept myself, trust myself, which I bounce back and forth off of, but that's also part of the journey, right? Because we're not on a mat, and that's sometimes what people think too, is that when they're on a transformational journey, that, well, I transformed, boom, I'm done. And it's like, oh, wait, wow,
No,
you just hit one layer of it.
that's right.
She's gonna
That
come
top
again.
layer with all the thorns on it.
Yeah. But sometimes too, even with the top layer with all the thorns, when we think that when we get to the second layer, it's not going to have thorns, but we have our, it's kind of like, if you really think about it, it's kind of like Indiana Jones, right? Whenever he went through a new maze or a temple or something, there wasn't just one booby trap.
Right.
There were multiples,
Hmm.
and we are built the same way.
Hmm. Oh, lucky us.
I know. But again, it's still, is my booby trap really that big giant boulder that he had to run away from in one? Or could it literally just be whatever I perceive it? And it's a cotton ball and I just step out of its way, right? It's however we want. And I think too, as we move through the layers, we realize that it doesn't always have to be the floor is dropping out from underneath me and there's nothing but, pointy sticks waiting to stab me. It doesn't always have to be painful.
I had a visual of like I'm in a room and this giant shadow of like a tiger or something, right? Is coming around the corner. But then when it comes around the corner, it's just this little kitten,
Kitten. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the same, right? It's like even this morning I was kind of laughing because where I live is out in the country. And our house is set back from where our garage is. And when I say set back, it's like over 100 steps to get from the house to the garage. And when I was still at corporate, my husband and I were working at different companies. And so we used to leave at the exact same time, and then over time his schedule shifted. So then I would have to walk out by myself at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't have street lights. It's all dark. And I have woods right behind me. So the guys used to always tease me because I admitted to them that I walk slowly and then all of a sudden my imagination picks up going, someone's in the woods waiting for me. And so I would run and quickly fumble trying to get into the garage, get into the car thinking, whew, I'm in the car. Nobody can get to me. Right. And again, it's just my imagination. There's nothing in the woods unless it's an animal, but where I live, it's nothing, it's not a bear. But it was my imagination leading me to, from different movies I'm watching or whatever, that there's a killer. And over time, it's like now I can just walk out there and I can walk back and I can do a prayer in the moonlight and all these things. But it's just funny how we set ourselves up for what we think is out there.
You're so right. Wow. Well, I've so enjoyed getting all these insights from you. For me personally, and I'm sure all of our listeners have as well. And I just want to thank you again for coming on today. Really appreciate it. I know we always come up with more things to talk about,
Yeah,
so we'll have you back. And
nice. I enjoyed
yeah,
the conversation. So thank you for having me and for
of
the invite to come
course.
back.
And I just want to put up your information again. And just as soon as I can figure out where I am, I just love my computer. And sometimes I just, gosh darn it, I think I'm just going to have to do this and do this because this is, there you are. So if people want to get a hold of you and find out more about your work, here you are. And again, Jen, thanks so much for being with us today. And I totally look forward to having you back. So,
Thank you.
oh, you're welcome.